Hey YouTube, Untamed here. So I'm very excited to share a number of modifications and upgrades that I did to my 2021 Toyota Tundra TRD Pro here. And instead of doing 6 or 7 videos highlighting each of the things that I put on it, I figured it'd be more appropriate just to do one for you guys and highlight all of it. You know, capturing it all in one particular video. But first, we got a peanut feature, it appears.
Hello, this is Denver, and he's at the pet hotel. And he has so much fun. I think he's gonna go swimming soon.
Okay, she introduced her dog, and see a peanut, and told us that he's at the pet hotel. Okay, alrighty. So, like I said, instead of doing 8 or 9 different videos for you guys, highlighting each modification one by one, rather than doing that rinse and repeat for you on this Tundra quote-unquote build here, I'm just gonna do it all in one video, you know, not waste all your time. So, hopefully some of you will appreciate that. There are a couple things that I did to this one that I did not do to my previous Tundras that I'll focus a little bit more attention on. As you can already see, got that Diamondback heavy duty bed cover, which is sweet. It is awesome. Excited to share that with you. I got the front runner rack on it, which will hold our iCamper SkyCamp 2.0. So super excited. I was actually going to put it on before this video, but I figured, I don't know, it'd be cooler to at least show you the Diamondback and how it actually performs, comes up and down. I can't do that, of course, with the iCamper on it. So we'll show you more of that. You can already tell I have the Nitto Ridge Grapplers on it. So went back to those. I did end up doing the 295s. So the 295 7018s, the ones that I did on my Army Green, my 2020 Army Green Tundra TRD Pro. So we went back to that. And I don't know, I was hesitant to do that because there really is a subtle rub that takes place if you're at full lock turn, especially going over any kind of bump. You will get a little bit of an inside rub. So nothing yet, nothing that I've heard or felt just yet, but we could talk more about that maybe in a future video, and I'll kind of follow up with you on how that works out. So the 285s that I had on my previous Lunar rock, they're a little bit more conducive and offered a little bit more peace of mind when it came to rubbing, at least. So the Nitto Ridge Grapplers, you can see, I still have the Predator side tube steps. I'll likely still pursue the Go Rhino RB20s just because they are my favorite. Tinted the windows, and the first time ever, I took your guys' advice. I ended up doing a windshield tint, a very, very light, a 70% windshield tint. So you can't really tell just looking at it, really. But I tell you what, you guys were right when it came to just it being so much cooler in the vehicle. So it's ceramic tint. I should open with that. So a ceramic tint, and done by a very reputable company, I should say, not me cheaping out like I did my last time with the Land Cruiser and the 4Runner. I actually redid the 4Runner too with this company as well. So ceramic tint and the 70% on the front windshield, which is great. So a lot more heat reduction in the cabin on the hot sunny days, leaving it parked for several hours. You notice it right from the beginning, which is really cool. I did 20% on the sides, actually all around, on both this and the 4Runner. So I'll show you a little bit more of that as we walk around here. So the window tint, I did the standard AJT design interior trim bits. So I blacked out a lot of the trim, and I'll show you that here in a second. I'm trying to think what else. Of course, as far as AJT design goes, you gotta bump up to the key fob here. So this is a must-have, of course, if you're gonna have any kind of Toyota, especially TRD Pro variant. You need to upgrade to that so you can get away from the totally chintzy black fob that you get from OEM, from factory. So did that. Trying to think what else. Oh yeah, and I did a grab handle on the driver's side here. So I'll show you that as I pop into it. But first, let's start on the outside. So let's look at these tires. I just love how aggressive they are. You know, the sidewall, the profile on them is sweet. I love how aggressive that pattern is, that tread pattern on the side in particular. And the Nitto Ridge Grapplers, they've always performed exceptionally well for the number of times I've had them before too. This is that stance, so we're talking only a 10 millimeter difference between this and the 285s, of course, when it comes to width. That change does affect the height just ever so slightly, but it does also, I think, add about 10 pounds, give or take just a little bit, 10 pounds per tire which is a lot to consider. So I want to be able to kind of present the negatives of this too. So that's some more, you know, unsprung mass that you're putting on each of your hubs, each of your wheels here. But you gotta admit, that is, I think, perfect fitment, especially with, you know, and it's as wide as you can go with the stock wheels. Most wheel companies or tire companies will not feel comfortable putting on anything wider than the 295s on an 8-inch wheel. So this is kind of the extent of what you should be doing on an 8-inch wide wheel. So these, again, 295 70 18s, and they look phenomenal. Let's talk about the Diamondback. Actually, but first, this is what I mentioned in my previous video. Ended up bucking up a little bit more this time around and got the Tough Skins TRD Pro decals back here. So as you can tell, they're a lot more bubbly, so they protrude a lot more, and they just look so much better. The cut, the finish of them is much far superior than the Amazon ones that you get. You know, for spending this kind of money on this particular truck, there's no sense of trying to save 50, 60 bucks here and there on little bits like this, especially if they're so visible, right? I did the same for this particular decal as well. So it looks good. Love that. I think it came out very nicely. Kind of the back angle of it. So I love it. So I'm highlighting all the mods first, and then we'll wrap up with my honest thoughts on how this compares to the 22 Tundra, all right? Here's the Diamondback. This is freaking awesome, and I'm actually really surprised at how cool this is, because I was super reluctant to spend $2,200, $2,500 on a freaking bed cover. I already did not like spending, you know, close to $1,000 for my backflip MX4 that I had previously. I thought that was a lot, but you guys kind of talked me into considering this, and honestly, at least my first impressions, I'm happy I did. Granted, I've only had it on for a couple days now, but I've already made use of it. I mean, made use of it, of course, the fact that it keeps 100% of the water out of it. Completely weatherproof, I'm confident in saying, and yeah, I love being able, I already mounted one thing on top of it and strapped it down with the cleats here. So I opted to get the cleats on it. These guys, you know, because I'm about that rugged lifestyle. No comment on that, all right? But I've already used it just once, honestly, and it's pretty cool, you know, just being able to throw something up top here. But that was before I put these on, admittedly. So I had this completely flat, no front runner rail system on it, rack system. And we threw my wife wanted something, and we threw this giant box up here and just strapped it down side to side, and it was perfect. So it's actually pretty neat. Super easy to use. You have 2 points where, so we'll open it up here. So you got this right here. This is where you're gonna twist this, do it the right way. Then it can pop up. Oh yeah, and I got it bed lined. So we got Line X. Got it Line X too. If you guys remember, this particular one did not have this from factory. A little bit of a bummer, but I was able to get some Line X on it, and I think it looks great. But this particular system is sweet. I mean, it pops right up. Of course, you have to install a lot of the components. But overall, I mean, this, putting it all together and actually getting it mounted without the actual front runner, without the actual rack, I think it took maybe an hour and a half altogether. And that was just for this. So really not that bad. The front runner, installing this rack system, admittedly, was a little stressful. You know, because it requires you to drill into this, of course, and some pretty wide holes that you're making throughout it, which is always a little stressful when you're doing that. You're quote unquote damaging your brand new cover. It doesn't necessarily feel right. And of course, if you're OCD like me, you got to make it super straight. And I did mess up. So these middle ones are a little wonky, but I can fix it. So I'm not too worried. The two major ones on each of the sides, I did pretty straight, and it looks good. But like I said, this is going to be perfect for the iCamper. which will be in the next video here, next 2 or 3 videos. So I'm happy to share that with you. The other mount, or the other opening point, is on the far side. Same exact thing. Here, we'll shut this. Just get a little rope, pull it down. Sorry, doing it with one hand. So you put it down, you can hold it down as you tighten it. And now we're back in action. So pretty cool. And you got the same thing up front. I'm not gonna do it, but same thing. You just twist that, and this portion folds up. So you get it pretty straightforward. What else on the outside? That might be it. We already talked about the tint. Always forget how much I miss the TRD dual exhaust, by the way, until I get back in and start driving this. I absolutely love it. Small thing, the TRD Pros, I think most Toyotas have the gas cap on the left-hand side, right on the driver's side, whereas the Land Cruiser had it on the right side. So just a little fun fact for you guys. And the Land Cruiser has a pop for it, whereas the TRD Pros do not have that. Alright, so let's talk about, if I can get without glare, the AJT Design interior bits. So if you guys remember, this is normally a grayish plasticky material. This is a fake chrome material. So of course to black that out, and this is again normally a fake plastic or chrome material as well, plasticky chrome material. So get it all blacked out, and I think it looks great. This is always, of course, my go-to first modification whenever I get a Tundra or any kind of TRD Pro. I start looking at AJT Design, and this is an OEM shift knob here, a knob for it, and normally it is just silver. So a small thing. I don't know, it's not really worth it when you have a TRD Pro because you have the same exact knob in here. But if you just want to try to black it out with the rest of everything, it's, you know, $80, $85 on Amazon or eBay. The goodness of that is, if you're like me, I mean, sure, you're spending $85, it's a wasted $85. You could sell the silver one that's in here for, you know, $60 to $80 within 2 seconds if you throw it on Marketplace or Craigslist. So it's kind of a wash. It's just a matter of putting in the 10 seconds of effort to do that. Also did the vent rings. Sorry, I'm trying to get rid of the glare for you. Did the vent rings. So black this out. Normally it's chrome underneath there. Got it on all of them all the way across, of course. And I love that. These particular, so AJT, I know they have like aftermarket black fobs to black out each of these knobs, but I think these look okay. You know, the chrome's not glaring at you. And these, you know, they're like a metal aluminum finish, so it doesn't look bad in my opinion. And this, so I'm kind of forgetting the things I did. So here is the wireless charging tray that you can get. I think I went through like spark parts for that one. But yeah, this is great. You can, you know, turn it on and off with the power here. And it's pretty sweet. Just throw your phone in there and it works perfectly. The final thing is the grab handle. And honestly, I can't believe I didn't do this before, because it was so freaking easy to do this. It literally took 10 minutes to put it all on. You take out the other one, you just pop off the old ones, like one 10 millimeter bolt. That takes 2 seconds, and then putting this back on, you're reusing that bolt, and then of course using the applied or offered up bolt. So super easy to do. Definitely recommend that. They used to do it on the old Tundras prior to 2014, if I recall. So it's kind of weird that they did away with it. I'm trying to think. I think that might be. I think that is everything on the inside. This right here, my friends, excuse the mess, but this is a reason to get the Tundra. And I wonder what the 22 will look like. We're going to find out more, of course, later today or tomorrow. But I can't imagine them making it as big or bigger than this, of course. So it's going to be either the same size or smaller. Probably smaller based off the photos I've seen of it, at least, of the crew cab, but we'll see. I guess I'll hold my breath on that. But as far as like current vehicles, I mean, I had a mega cab before. You guys remember, I had the Ram Cummins 2500 mega cab, and even this is noticeably bigger and more comfortable for the kiddos. And of course, it doesn't take long to make a mess in here. But I absolutely love this. My wife loves this. So this alone is a reason to consider getting a Tundra as a dad, if you're about that dad life, okay? All right, team. One more shot of these glorious Nitto Ridge Grapplers. Freaking love this. Hey, one thing I did not do this time, and I actually meant to the night before going to Discount Tire, I actually meant to pop these off. So, I mean, of course, that'll take 2 seconds to do. Just a couple little bolts there, and it's off. And I actually meant to ask Discount Tire to pop them off too, and I just forgot. And I've driven it quite a bit since, and I've not felt one rub on it. Of course, once you take it off-road, I'm sure it'll just rip that off in 2 seconds. But at least for normal driving, it has not rubbed up against that or taken it off, of course. So I figured I'd note that. All right, let's talk about why this is better than the 22. So one of the most annoying things, I think, and being on YouTube, I see it all the time. I see it all the time in the comment section. People are so quick to defend what they have, right? And I hate that. And it's, obviously you have a huge bias. I have a bias. I own this. I get it. But I mean, there's a lot of goodness to this, and there's going to be a ton of goodness to the 22. So, I mean, I'm not going to try to sugarcoat it. The 22 is going to be better in every way when it comes to performance. We all get that. Better fuel economy, better towing capacity, better payload capability. I mean, it's going to be better in every way. Better off-road, I'm sure, with crawl control, all the other multi-terrain, all the other goodies that this has lacked throughout the years. So, it is going to be better. Let me open it with that. So I don't want to be that guy and add to that statistic of people just hyping up what they have and trying to justify what they have so much, because I see all the time, and it's frustrating. But there's my but. This 5.7 liter V8, sure, it is thirsty. We've heard it a million times. We have talked about it 100 times. The reliability factor is huge. And that, I don't care if it's Toyota or not, building the engine. And whenever you start implementing turbos into any kind of platform, any kind of engine, any kind of anything, I mean, it's going to start to additional wear. I mean, the turbos are not designed to last quite like this old, giant, robust, it's very simplistic 5.7 liter V8. I mean, there's no denying that. And even talking with the gentleman who bought my Land Cruiser, he's been through a number of vehicles too, newer F-150s too, with the turbo setups, and that's why he bought the Land Cruiser. He's tired of having little finicky issues with it just over time. He'd rather spend a little bit more at the pump and actually just have something that he knows is going to start every time, isn't going to get finicky on the freeway, isn't going to lose boost or whatever it is. He never has to worry about the 5.7 liter V8 that's in the Tundra here, as well as the Land Cruiser, right? It's just super old school, very little tech in this. And again, that's one less thing to really go wonky on it. The Raptor, when that first came out, the Gen 2, I mean, the panoramic sunroof, that was a huge issue. The rails, I mean, that was a faulty, failed system on it. So there's a number of things that can potentially go wrong in this 22 right from the beginning. So there's goodness of buying, particularly the 21. This is the end of the year, the final year of the generation here. And stuff that we all have heard before too, right? I mean, it's always a good idea. It's never, I shouldn't say always a good idea. It's never really a bad idea to buy the last vehicle of a generation. They tend to do well. This is when they worked out all the kinks, all the bugs have already been ironed out at this point in time, right? So there's goodness in that. Is it old? Is it dated looking? Yeah, I think, with all the blacked accents, the blacked out headlight housing, especially when you do these few additional bits to it, I think it's extremely appealing. Of course, this is where my bias comes in, because I didn't always love the Tundra. I always kind of thought, it's kind of old, especially when you get up close, you start feeling those handles, right? You start realizing, okay, I'd rather get a Raptor, I'd rather get something new feeling. But as you own this for a while, if you have owned this, you know exactly what I'm talking about. If you have not owned a Tundra, this is probably falling on deaf ears, but There is something refreshing about getting into it, sitting in there, firing it up. It has everything you need, everything and nothing more, right? So, and it's not trying to be anything else, which is really cool, and you just don't have to worry about it, right? So that's the obvious one. We talked about that. The reliability is cool. Simplicity is great for the long term, right? Once you start adding in the additional tech, that's when things can start failing over time and just start not dating so well. This has already proven that it's okay. It's dated just fine. It's aged well is what I'm trying to say. Sure, you get the fake hood scoops, blah, 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 blah. I don't know. I absolutely love that. I also love the fact that this is only going to apply to mine here in particular, but I love the fact that it is the only Tundra on this particular generation, on this body style, that will ever have Lunar rock as a color, if that makes sense, right? So, I mean, in previous years, Army Green would be on this, and then in subsequent years, in 21, they would offer it on the other trims, on the other non-TRD Pro trims. They would offer it up, right? Whereas they did not do that with this one because they don't get a 22 model year for this particular body. So I personally like the fact, and I mentioned this before in previous videos, I do like the fact that this is the only year that this particular color will be on this particular body. So another exclusivity piece of it, if you will. Is a Tundra exclusive? No, right? Is a TRD Pro exclusive? Kind of, but even no. Nothing near what that Land Cruiser was, right? So those are the most obvious bits. I'm excited to see the 22. Will I likely own one either in 22 or 23? Probably. So I'm not going to beat it up or anything in this video. But if you are on the fence and you're considering between the two, you know, the time's running out to get a 21, to try to get a new 21. Time is running out for sure. I felt very lucky and fortunate to find this one at MSRP nearby, a brand new one at MSRP. I felt pretty lucky and pretty fortunate to get that. As you can find 2019s and 2020s with 25,000 miles on it, still asking over MSRP cost and selling at that price, which is baffling, right? So from an investment standpoint, I think it's always been wise. I shouldn't say investment. Some of you get wrapped around the axle when I say it like that. Vehicles are very seldom, very, very seldom investments, right? Unless you're talking like a classic Porsche, one that you put in a garage. That FJ Cruiser kinda is, right? Just because they stopped making them in 2014. Totally stopped making the FJ Cruiser and offering it to the US market in 2014. It has super low miles and it's a numbered vehicle. So that kind of is, right? But when it comes to wisely utilizing your money, I should say, and actually buying a vehicle. We all need vehicles. And if you're going to buy one, you're going to use it and drive it every day, I think the Tundra TRD Pro is among the best choices. Not to mention, I mean, it is among the top choices on top lists, right? KBB resale value, it's always notoriously in the top 5, right? Most Toyotas are. The Tacoma included, 4Runner as well, of course. So why not buy one of the vehicles that, you know, is going to last forever. It's going to cost a little more to keep it, you know, keep it fueled up all the time, but you'll never have to spend time, money, you know, wasting time and money while it's in a shop. You never have to worry about that, which is pretty cool. So I think for the folks who are kind of on the fence, I would of course encourage you to lean this direction. The 22, we're going to see it later today or tomorrow. It's going to be beautiful. It's going to be amazing, but definitely consider the old guy here, because I think there's a lot of goodness with it. And I think I've never met a single Tundra owner that has regretted their purchase, honestly. Tacoma owners, I don't know, maybe 1 out of 10 Tacoma owners regret it just for size and power. But Tundra owners, very seldom do you hear them say, oh man, I wish I would have got an F-150. Very seldom do you hear that, right? Alrighty team, well, I have meowed and blabbed on for 24 minutes. I'm excited to get the iCamper on and share a couple adventures with you. You know, nothing crazy, not doing a big overlanding thing for you guys, so don't want to paint a wrong picture, but we're going to do some traveling, do some you know, weekend warrior trips out to the beach and whatnot, taking Peanut, and she's very excited for it. So let me know what your thoughts are. Let me know if you think the 22 is going to be the better bet, the safer bet, and tell me which one you would lean with. And honestly, tell me, don't just say the 21, because that's what I have. I'm open to other ideas, and definitely open to your feedback. So appreciate you guys watching as always. Until next time.